Hey everyone, welcome back to another video. I've said many times that Australia, or really the West in general, has imported a problem, and that problem happens to be the religion of Islam. But also here in Australia, we've got another problem on our hands, and that is the homegrown sympathizers, the ones that sympathize with terror, the ones that actually will go over and support the funeral of a T-word organization leader. And then they will be allowed to come back into this country. Not only that, we've got these homegrown dingbats that seem to think that it's okay to support two Islamic Sydney nurses that said the vile and hateful, disgusting things that they would not treat Israeli patients. No, in fact, they would if they ever came across them in Bankstown Hospital. That kind of stuff is unacceptable. But more than that, what I've been seeing is the vast amount of individuals that claim to be Australian that come to the defense of what these two Islamic nurses said. And their reasons for coming to the defense, it truly shocks me and amazes me. I honestly cannot believe that some people would actually defend what those two Islamic nurses said. You're trying to defend the unthinkable and the indefensible. Like, come on. And I've given you guys a couple of update videos on what's been taking place. Thank goodness the female nurse has been charged 3 counts, I believe it is. She's not allowed to leave the country. She's not allowed on social media as per her bail conditions. I don't know whether or not the male nurse is going to be charged. I hope that he will be, because he was just as bad as the female nurse, if you ask me. So anyway, because I've made several videos, some of them have gone relatively okay in terms of viewership, and some of them have got hundreds. One of them has over 1,000 comments. So a lot of comments to actually go through, and a vast majority of them happen to be in agreement. What the two nurses said was disgusting. It's vile. It should not be said. Islam is a death cult. There's no extremism. It's just Islam is what it is, right? So I've been seeing a lot of people in full support, and I'm glad that the video has done reasonably well, because it sort of exposes the truth of the matter. That these people are here and they're not willing to assimilate. Their true motives and intentions towards a particular group of people in Australia is quite hateful and quite disgusting. And if you say these kinds of comments, there should be consequences, right? And that's what's happened to them. Now, I saw this comment yesterday, in fact, and wow, I wanted to respond via text. Then I thought about it, and I was like, no, this is the kind of comment proves my point that I've been talking about for quite some time. We have a homegrown problem on our hands. This person writes a long-ass comment trying to defend and pass the blame back onto the Israeli person. This was apparently all set up to expose the hate. The Israeli person is at fault, according to this person, who happens to be ashamed to be an Australian. So let's look at this, shall we? Well, reading these comments just shows me what a racist society we have become. I don't know about you, but Australia is not a racist country. Australia is a very, very blessed country. Thank you very much. If you think that the comment section that is in full support of being an Australian and not allowing hate in this country, if you think that makes us racist, you're the problem. You're the racist one. Thank you very much. A couple of decades of vilifying Christians and Muslims has certainly left its mark. Don't know about you, but Christians have been the #1 persecuted religion or religious group in the entire world. Muslims have been persecuting Christians for the longest time. Not just Christians, but infidels like me. People that aren't Muslim, they will go after them. I am frankly ashamed to be an Australian. Well, guess what? After reading your comment, you damn well should be ashamed to be an Australian leaving a comment like this. Honestly, what were you thinking? If this is the way that you think, I am really concerned. I really am. So what exactly happened here? Here is this person's viewpoint of what happened. An Israeli political activist, Max Weifer, who's not a political activist, let me just say that. He's an Israeli influencer, trolled through a social media website. It wasn't a social media website. It was one of those video chat websites, kind of like Omegle. It was completely random, trying to find a person or persons who would utter an anti-Semitic comment. So you really think that's what his intention was? Honestly, how do you know what his intention was? Because he's Israeli? Oh, he was trolling through, trying to find whether or not people would be anti-Semitic to him. Guess what? He found a couple. Looking carefully at the material he posted, he sought out a couple. He sought them out, like as if he knew. He sought out a couple of Muslims, specifically in Australia, though the button on the site was not activated to show he was Israeli. Again, I will ask, why does that matter exactly? So if these Muslims had have seen that he was showing the banner of the fact that he was Israeli, that would have made a huge difference to the Muslims, or they wouldn't have said what they have said if the banner of Israeli had shown up. Is that what you're alluding to? But he said very, very quickly, I might add, that he was Jewish. He's Israeli. And you saw the reaction from the male nurse to start off with. But then, because Max disclosed that he was IDF, which I'll have you know that every single Israeli citizen has to spend time in the army. So yes, every single Israeli citizen happens to be IDF. And surprise, surprise, they lost it. So what exactly are you trying to say? Because he revealed that he was IDF, that it's his fault for being in the Israeli Defense Force for a period of time? Spoiler alert, once again, every single Israeli citizen has to spend at least 2 years in the Israeli Defense Force. It's a requirement. So even if he didn't reveal it, they still would have lost it because they still would have known that he is part of the Israeli Defense Force. Don't you get that? Oh, it's because he said it. That's what set him off. No, what set them off is the fact that he is Israeli. That's what set him off, not the fact that he's IDF. Now he recorded the encounter, legal in Israel, but seriously illegal in New South Wales. No, it's not, actually. Because if it was truly illegal in Australia, then Max wouldn't be allowed to post it in Australia. They could have sued Max, but they haven't. You know why? Because it's not illegal. It's not illegal at all. I screen record stuff all the time. Doesn't make it illegal at all. Plus, you are in a public setting, a public hospital, working. You're supposed to be working. Plus, you are on an online video chat like service. And you're thinking to yourself, oh, this is not going to be recorded. No way. Right. It was. He then published the material to his 100,000 followers, which then went viral. That is material which, if recorded in Australia, would have been illegal. No, I don't think it would be. We have people all the time that post videos of them recording others. Like, if you are a business or a company, you've got to let people know that you are recording them. Yes, 100%. But if you're on a, say, like a video chat like Omegle or whatever else, I don't think you have to. He or someone then docks the nurses, then boast the mission accomplished. In other words, he went out seeking to be offended, showed malice and had no regard for Australian conditions. No, Max exposed the hate and the vile remarks that were said by two public nurses, taxpayer-funded nurses working in a public hospital system. Don't you get that? So you would have preferred that he kept the video silent. Is that what you're saying? You would prefer that these two nurses continue working, knowing full well how they think about Israeli patients. The vile and despicable comment of to say that they would kill Israeli patients, you're saying that you would prefer that Max didn't show it. That's exactly what you're saying here. This act would stir up, I guess you're trying to say, societal hatred against Muslims here. So I just can't with this comment. Obviously, the video was intended to expose, like Max said, he recorded it because he needed to expose how these people are actually thinking. And we're glad that he did, because we don't want nurses or anyone for that fact in this country that not only sympathizes with these vile, disgusting comments, but believes in them and wants to carry it out. We don't need or want those people in this country, thank you very much. And if it stirs up Muslims, then Muslims need to damn well take a good look at how they feel towards Israelis. Seriously. And you're saying, what a despicable act. What a creep, according to you. You're the creep, and you're the one that is saying the despicable things of defending, like you're accusing the Israeli man, Max Pfeiffer, of doing the wrong thing. Because by your standards, you would prefer these two hateful nurses keep working in our public hospital system, getting paid by me, the taxpayer. No, thank you. Imagine it is 1946. Here we go, ladies and gentlemen, but social media exists. A Jewish person in Sydney whose family perished in Auschwitz is contacted by a former concentration camp guard seeking to elicit anti-German comments. She blows up at him. Would she end up being charged? So I'm trying to figure out a Jewish person whose family perished in Auschwitz. You're saying that it's not okay for the Israeli to blow up at a former concentration camp guard? Now, personally, I haven't seen any Jewish or Israeli people blow up at former concentration camp guards. They didn't even do it after the war. In fact, they forgave and moved on. That's saying something. So your example here makes no connotation or no sense to what you're trying to allude to. Go in your dreams. The International Criminal Court, the direct successor of the Nuremberg Tribunal, has active warrants out for the Israeli PM and former defense minister. So what? That means absolutely nothing. They've got warrants out for quite a few people, have you know, and they haven't done anything with them. It's absurd. Absolutely absurd. I don't even think that is a good example to even include. So you're saying that all of Israel is to be at fault because the Israeli PM and former defense minister have a warrant out from the International Criminal Court, which is a nothing court? Wow. Where is the meat here? What is important here? Yet we defend the IDF and Israeli cabinets and charge a silly young Muslim girl for losing it on a social media call she had every right to believe was a private conversation. Wow. Where's the meat here? Exactly. I'll tell you where the meat here is, mate, and what is important here. What's important here is that we expose hate in this country, wherever it may be. What else is important here is knowing full well where we stand with some Muslim individuals, because I guarantee you these Muslim individuals, they're only sorry because they got caught and they had to lawyer up. Or did you forget that part? Which to me shows guilt. They're trying to get out of it. Then they said, oh, it's just a joke. I'm just a silly young Muslim girl, according to you. Right. A silly young Muslim girl that meant exactly what she said. She knew what she was saying, and you could see it in her eyes. You could see it and hear it, and you could feel it when she said it. And that kind of stuff is totally unacceptable. But you're too blind to see it. And so you're asking the question, where is the meat here? What is important here? What's important here is that we protect our citizens. Thank you very much. We protect Australians. You're ashamed of being Australian. Good. You should be for saying something like this. This is totally unacceptable. But you know what? Thank you for proving my point that I've been making for quite some time. People like you are why we've got a problem in Australia as well. Not just because we've imported the problem, but because of sympathizers like yourself. She had no right at all to say what she said. And you cannot downplay the fact that what she said and then say that she was a silly young Muslim girl. Because she meant it. And obviously the police thought so too, because now they've charged her with 3 counts in the Commonwealth Act, which, good. There are consequences to our actions and things that we say. And where we need to expose things, we should expose them, because we don't want hate and we don't want these vile comments in our society. I call out things that I see a problem with, things that I see that are actually evil. And I see that as my responsibility and my duty. And what I just read, wow. If you truly think that, I encourage you to think again about what you just said. Reevaluate everything you just said and ask yourself this question. Is that the truth? And compare it to what that girl said. Because I believe, and countless others do as well, that the reaction from the Australian public was justified. The outrage from the Jewish community was rightfully so justified. And if you are going to go about sympathizing and calling everyone that can't stand the fact that what this Muslim girl said was vile, you're going to call them racist, you're the problem. Big time. Anyway, my friends, I thought that I would just share just one of probably several comments that I more than likely got, but this one stood out the most, that proves my point. Proves what I've been saying for quite some time. We have a huge problem on our hands. Thank you all so much for watching. You guys take care. Be blessed, and I'll see you all in the next video.